welcome to this stream. If you know me, I'm Honza. If you're new here, I'm Honza, and anyway, today we're gonna play some Railroads Online. A fun game which I recently got, and I am currently operating a small railroad that just goes to a few places. Basically only 4 stations, but it's enough for now. However, there is a slight issue here because we may have run out of logs recently on this railroad. I'm actually sometimes playing it with a friend, but they don't really have time, and yeah, anyway. It's time we actually go and maybe get more logs, because the sawmill has ran out of logs completely, so that ain't the best thing. Anyway, now it's time we go. I have already uncoupled the engine. I currently have one of the better mid-game engines, the Glenbrook. I have a tiny principle way of naming engines. I basically either take a location or I just use like American Revolutionary War themes, because this game is set in the early, no, not early, like 19th century, like 1880s, 1890s. I don't really know. But basically in the era of 3-foot narrow gauge railroading, when it was actually prevalent, because it was actually useful. Yeah, I'm kind of just tripping a bit. So basically just old trains in the old times. There are, for example, only steam locomotives here and a hand car, but basically no diesels and no electrics. Although electrics would be nice, ideally some sort of like streetcar or something. I don't know. Because like narrow gauge streetcars were prominent, however, they probably weren't that prominent in like America. But for example, in Europe, there was a very wide network of narrow gauge streetcars. There were actually like even streetcars between cities, also known as interurbans. Probably the largest network was in Belgium, I think, the vicinal tramways. But there was quite a large network even in like Central Europe. For example, one of the more important networks or lines that actually is still even today operational is a streetcar line between Liberec and Jablonec nad Nisou in the Czech Republic, which is very long, well, not very long, it's like, I don't know, a couple miles, but it goes between like two quote-unquote counties, because, well, actually there's not like a good translation of like the kind of region. It's like smaller region which has like its own ports, but like there isn't like full on, how would I describe it? For fuck's sake, I forgot to take off the brake. And these hoppers are actually pretty damn heavy. So anyway, like probably the best equivalent would be a country, or not country, a county. For example, if I look at my statistics, like a lot of my viewers are from America, so if I would compare it to the American system, probably a county would be a good equivalent. Although also this country is about as large as the state of Indiana. So it's not really a fair comparison. So as I should probably noted right now, there are other narrow gauge electric railways. There is actually one in Slovakia, and it's actually pretty famous. Well, not famous, but it was still, I don't know, significant in the country. It was the Trenčínská Lázeňská električka, or Trenčín Electric Railway. Or actually, it's Trenčínská elektrická železnica, which is basically just, it's basically an electric railroad between, I can't remember exactly where, but it's like Western Slovakia. And it operates on 760mm gauge, which is about, I don't know the comparison, so I'll just use a rough, I'm just going to actually just search up the gauge in like imperial system. So it's Bosnian gauge. I know that for a fact. It's 2 foot 5 inches and 15/16 of an inch. Actually, I can't really remember if it is 760 or 750. It's 760, yeah, it's Bosnian gauge. There's actually like a pretty large network of narrow gauge railways in Central Europe, but unlike the systems of like US, where it was like massive systems that sometimes even went between multiple states or actually interchanged with large railroads. I mean, even here it happens, but like there wasn't like car interchanges or like massive main lines. It was usually like basically short line. But narrow gauge happened here. It was usually smaller gauges, and it was usually for industrial railroads. Like for mines, if there was like a mine, you would just build a small narrow gauge, usually maybe even just 2 feet gauge, and not like something enormous, instead of like using standard gauge or something, because it was cheaper. Narrow gauge is always actually cheaper than standard gauge because you can have smaller curves, and that means the alignment isn't that expensive, which is definitely an advantage. However, you do have a pretty large trade-off, and that is speed. You cannot go fast on narrow gauge because the curves are, for one, much much tighter, which means lower speeds to begin with, but also narrow gauge means worse stability. So you either have to be really good at loading stuff, or you have to have extremely low centers of gravity, which would mean like ballasting the cars and stuff, which would make them heavier, and that would probably break the rails because they usually were lighter than rails for standard gauge or broad gauge, because narrow gauge trains were smaller and lighter. Also, one thing I really enjoy about this game is like you can see the rail cars actually like shaking, which is pretty neat. Like it's actually like even normal in real life that like train cars, everything shakes because of hunting oscillation. Hunting oscillation is basically when the wheels try to find equilibrium between the rails, because the wheels aren't flat. They are actually like tapered. Like they have a conical profile. They're not like cylinders rolling. They're basically cones if you extend them enough. And that has both advantages and disadvantages. Since trains do not have a differential, they usually they use these tapered wheels to like take curves better. However, this also means at higher speeds the train will shake, as like it will try to find the position with which is most stable. I think, yeah, there's something like in physics about like everything trying to have the state with the lowest energy. I don't really know. I'm not a physics expert. I I'm basically just a high school student, so I don't really know like those advanced physics stuff or like super advanced. I'm at like intermediate level at best. So yeah, basically the train tries to balance itself out for like, which means like in curves you can sometimes, if the train is either going too fast or too slow, you can hear that like sound of screeching, which is basically like if it goes too slow, it'll just go on the track that is inside, usually because the tracks are super elevated, which means like they're higher on one side and lower on the other. Also, I should probably save right now. So, save game. Just so it. This is like early access, so just in case so nothing bad happens. I could actually just use the speed loading trick. So how many is there? Two units of ore. There's this like trick for loading like ore stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which like allows you to load quickly. Because it's like an exploit by, I think, Khan. I don't know. I can't really remember. Yeah, I think it was Khan. Yeah, I watch a lot of YouTubers. Mainly because I have way too much time on my hand because I don't have any productive hobbies. Yay, self-deprecating jokes. 1. Yeah, it's loading. It's fine. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it's not fully loaded yet. Now it's fully loaded. Actually, like getting the train down the grade will be a bit challenging because I mean it's like what? The car is 1,500 pounds and this is 11,000. I'm actually too much of a coward to play on like realistic physics, so this would be actually heavier. So it's like 2,600, 26,000 pounds, which means like this train will be pushing a lot. Especially down the grade, which won't be that much fun. And like this grade is a constant 2.5% or something. I think it starts at like 1.5 and slowly goes down to 2, then 2.5. And at the end it's like 3%. So like if I had a runaway without brakes, that wouldn't be fun at all. Actually, it would be pretty difficult to clean that stuff up. Because most of this route is on a bridge. Like derailing somewhere like here. Is it here? Yeah, here's the absolutely crazy bridge. Here derailing would be like absolutely horrible because it's basically one of the tallest bridge the game allowed me to build. I have this like, I don't know if I'll ever use it, but it's like a route I plan for getting to the smelter. But I'm not actually sure if I'll use it or I'll just go to the smelter from like the area around the sawmill, which would make it probably a lot faster. However, to like the coal mine, I think I might actually like I don't know, I might go like around the mountain ridge and just have a super long route to there. Oh, actually I should probably nope, air brakes it is then. And also I should probably secure this car because this thing, if I actually had the cars run away, they'd probably derail soon because of excessive speed. Because every vehicle is capped at 22 miles per hour, where it's like stable. But beyond that, stuff gets weird to say the least. Because these like wheels are actually just cosmetic, and it's actually like sleds which are used for the physics of interacting with the rails, which means if a train is going too fast, it can like clip through the rail and basically do the like, I don't know if it's like Gmod or something, which used similar way, and basically it clips through the rail and it launches it. Like basically the type of physics, basically the physics engine just goes crazy. Yeah, I think it's like Source or something that uses that method. Basically just it launches the car off the rails. I actually had it happen with the tender. For some reason, the locomotives don't derail as far as I'm concerned, or actually as far as I know, because I don't know, they probably just have some sort of weird physics thing. So like the speed doesn't affect them that much. But like the cars, they do, even like tenders. And fun fact, the Glenbrook type, or like the Glenbrook, has a speed limit of 25 miles an hour. So if I were to like go full at full throttle down this grade, I could probably reach like 30 or even more. And that wouldn't be really that good. Actually, it would be pretty freaking bad. Because there are pretty sharp corners on this line. 50-meter radius or less. I should probably get something to drink, like water or something. So anyway, as this line is pretty, let's just say, difficult to traverse at full speed, it could probably cause major issues if traveled at full speed. Actually, like, for some sections, even uphill actually, I have to go at like 60% regulator. Because this engine is so powerful that at high enough speed, it actually becomes kind of scary. Oh, actually, god damn it, I forgot to release the handbrake. Because I tied down the cars. And since they're tied down, it means the brakes are active. I'm trying to use it. And this car is heavy, so more brakes equals it sticks to the rails more. And well, God damn it, I'm just rambling again. But basically, it just is heavy, so it has more braking power. Fun fact: this is the reason, like, for like Amtrak and other railroads. Yeah, I think it's like Amtrak who uses that method. They just have like one car between two locomotives, so they say they have a consist, so they're not traveling just like with an engine, which means this would allow, if they would be traveling with only an engine, it would mean they'd have quote unquote less braking power, because even though the engine is heavy, if the brakes are too effective, it could mean the train would actually start sliding on the rails, which would not be good, because that actually increases the distance needed to brake. If I had like an analog, imagine it like a car. If you go like on a road and it has rained or there's ice or something, you could potentially start sliding. And I've actually, when I was like really young, I actually got into an accident where like the car started sliding and some and it crashed. Luckily, it just went off the road and nothing like really bad happened, like a collision with something. But it caused the car to get off the road because traction was lost. And that actually, like, yeah, it's quite dangerous. So, a runaway has occurred. I have fast traveled ahead of the train, but since I have set the brakes to like a third, it should stop it and actually burn off the brake shoes in the process, but we can always replace them. Actually, there is no maintenance in this game, so it's probably gonna be fine. But in real life, we would already have set the tender brakes actually on fire. Yeah, this is the way to rail. just lean out of the train. But yeah, we have burned the brake shoes probably. Fun fact, back in the day, the brake shoes were made out of wood. So like setting them on fire would be pretty easy. And actually like even now when they're out of metal, you can melt them. Even like with cars it can happen. Like, especially if it doesn't use like disc brakes. I'm not really good with cars, but basically you just hold on to the brake so much that it just melts. Actually, another thing that happens, it actually happened with my bike because I am an avid cyclist, is that I was actually going down a hill, and that was before I had a bike with, that was like a few years ago, before I had a bike with disc brakes that just are metal, and like the mechanism for those brakes is, I think, also metal, or is it ceramic? I don't know, but basically when I still had like brakes that were just like rubber contact pads, I don't know how they're called, but basically you just push them against the wheel and it stops. So I was actually going down a hill, and after I like got home from that bike trip, the brakes were actually like, the profile on them was actually off. I mean, I already like, on that bike I actually like messed up the tire because, you know, I was a kid and I enjoyed like sliding on the bike, but it actually like, the brakes were in a pretty bad state. But it was like, they were still usable, just they would probably need a repair sooner rather than later. Also, I guess we should probably resupply the iron mine and the sawmill. So I'm actually going to like use this yard for the first time and actually like store stuff in here. I would actually have enough money to buy another hopper car, and if I did a log delivery, I could actually like afford multiple. I could afford two of them, but that would actually like reduce the amount of logs, or actually like it would make it much faster deplete the supply of iron ore. And for now I'm keeping this route as the profitable route. So I guess I should actually show you my small and pretty bad logging camp layout. So I'm going to first store these hoppers here. Actually, I could probably store them in the like sawmill because I do have like storage tracks there, but it's kind of, I use the sawmill even though it's basically my main yard. There's an issue with the fact that it's like, the issue with... Oh, god damn it. I actually was focusing like on the chat, which I tried to set up on my phone so I can actually see the chat actually and not like just the quote-unquote best messages or something that I forgot that the train was going to run off the rails. So I'm gonna look in OBS and it's empty as usual. So I'm just going to ramble and just try to say, yeah, I'm already too far. Damn it. Thank God for air brakes, because without air brakes, like, these runs would be way more difficult. I mean, the Montezuma is pretty good, like, engine immediately after the, how it's called, yeah, the Betsy, because it's like you get a ton of range with this like massive stock of with like this large amount of like fuel in the tender, and you have tons of water to like, it'll last you a long time. So unlike the Betsy, for example, which like needs to be like, it needs wood a lot. Like, I need to refuel it very frequently, so like it can burn something. Actually, I like keep all engines of mine fueled up, or at least at pressure, just so it like makes them, I can use them even though I've been like on the other side of the map. Is this braked? Yeah, it is. I could probably take out both cars, but like, what's the point? It's completely flat ground. Probably the next route will be actually like feeding cordwood into the smelter, but I'll build that like off camera, because like route building in this game is just like, it ain't the best. Like, I saw like the times before like the new splines, which are actually like better, and it isn't like God is that type of pain, but it's like, it's still quite difficult to build. And I don't want to bore y'all to death with like just me trying to build a few spline over and over again. Because I want to have it all perfect. Because I am, I just want my tracks to be good for when they eventually actually, the cars not fly off the rails at speeds faster than like pedestrian zone streets. So anyway, now it's time to get to the solo. Oh, I actually wanted to like buy more lock cards, just so it doesn't take so long to like actually fuel it up. So anyway, now we should order some new cars. I'm going to order, well, I have 3 in the sawmill, so I could order, I have $1,500. I might go for 3 more, just for extra capacity. So I press G, locomotives, tier 1 flat car, number, I have the highest number is 1002, so 3 and the rail. And just use some paint scheme, I don't know. Number 6 looks nice, I guess. And more cars. Now 1004. Maybe this yellow one. And the final one. Number 7 looks also neat. I have $600 now, which means I should be able, I could order 2 more, but that wouldn't actually fit into the siding in the logging camp, and actually not even in the sawmill, because I planned for only maybe 6 cars. And actually even the Glenbrook is struggling up to 3% with 5 cars, like with lumber and beams, so it's kind of futile to just like overfill it. But if I ever get to like expanding all these layouts, I might consider it. I should also probably take the regulator off, just so we aren't approaching. Oh, it's actually off already. First, we're gonna take these 2 cars. Is the drawbar out extended? Yeah. I'm using actually like Lincoln pin because this game is said before knuckle couplers were necessary for every railroad in the United States. And also actually like air brakes. So we don't have the luxury of, for example, if the couplers were to like disengage, like the link would like break or something, we don't have the luxury of like, for example, the train stops because the train has broken apart. Nope, it'll just continue because there are no brakes on the train except hand brakes. actually like the reason this game is better to play in at least like with at least like one other person is to like have a brakeman or something. Because, for example, having a brakeman on a long grade, it's actually like it saves a ton of time because you don't have to like be stressed if like you're going too fast or not, and there isn't the risk of you like falling off a train being like absolutely catastrophic. Because if you have like one more person that is a brakeman, you can have them like tie all the handbrakes and the brake in the engine. Which means like if you saw that runaway a while back, it means it's not as dangerous. And less dangerous is always nice because then you won't have to deal with re-railing multiple cars that are in a gorge up. Actually, fun fact, usually railroads actually don't re-rail stuff, as if I'm not mistaken. Like I heard something about like the railed trains usually being just kept there if it's not worth the hassle for the railroad. And actually, like, I heard that story from like Heist, which is a great YouTuber, and you should definitely check him out because he makes amazing content both on this game and actually on trains in general. Well, like I think it was like the Colorado Midland, which was like a standard gauge railroad, unlike the narrow gauge railroads all over the place at the time. And they had like a train derail, and they just kept the tender down some gorge. I can't remember the details. Really, just go check out Heist if you want the full story. But they basically left a tender of the locomotive down in the gorge because it wasn't worth it. So, but there was a problem. Like it was like written on the tender that it was the railroad, and seeing a tender while you're traveling in a train above a massive gorge down in the gorge probably isn't the best marketing. So I don't know if they actually like, I don't know, they I think they like exploded it. Normally they would you would probably just paint over it so no one can see it lettered. But it's just railroad stuff. I mean, railroads are usually like even cutting down infrastructure because we can do it better with small sidings than a single track proceeds to have massive freight delays and other and delays Amtrak trains by multiple hours. Fun fact, that is actually the reason why Amtrak's on-time performance is so god awful. It's because the railroads just gave up on stuff like in time freight. Like, you know, refrigerated goods, or even like express freight. So they focus on stuff on like bulk freight or unit freight, like coal and stuff. Which presents an issue that the trains move slowly, and since the and that means like other trains are way more delayed, as you would probably expect. Actually, like an idea that I had and even asked in like Alan Fisher's Discord, which is another great YouTuber. He talks about like public transport, urban planning. Really, I'm a big fan of his. Well, I asked if like the railroads can't just like sell off the tracks. I mean, it would be a win-win situation, literally. Like, they don't have to deal with the maintenance, and like an Amtrak train passes at 80 miles an hour or even faster, like 110 if like the track is in exceptionally good conditions. So basically, there's really no downsides. The railroad doesn't have to deal with track maintenance, and Amtrak can run more of their trains. But also, most people running the railroads are about as competent as me, so not really. Also, here is a loaded train that I want to send up to the iron mine, but I'm kind of like too lazy to actually do it right now. I'm probably one day just going to operate a double header with like Betsy and frick. Yeah, this should be fine. I'm going to save again because there was a spot in here somewhere which like caused the game to crash for me. Like it like messed up the engine or something. And it just like spontaneously crashed when exiting a locomotive. So not really fun. But anyway, I'm going to now run around. So actually, it turns out I'll have to end it soon because I still haven't done some schoolwork. So I'll have to actually like I'll I'll just like switch out the train, maybe load it, and then I'll have to end the stream. But for now, I can still switch out the industry. Full throttle, brake. This should be braked. These unbraked, only one car has the brakes set up. Now this. Here I really messed up the design by having move forward when like going into this like small yard, or actually just these two storage tracks. But it also allows for better switching, paradoxically. Because I can, in theory, have a train run around completely around like this loop, while, for example, some switching would occur on this line. So, like, the only real point of conflict is here. But that would be probably dealt with by, you know, if it was like multiplayer, you would probably see like a train coming. So this coupler is prepared. Now I get past this. This really is both a design strength and a design flaw. I could probably rebuild it by like running the line around, but that would be a bit too, I don't know, would probably just make it more useless. But also it would allow higher speeds. Because this is like a 35-meter radius curve, and that means like you have to go really damn slow. Yeah. Slow speeds, while they're safe, they're not really fun, are they? You want to go fast, because going fast is cool. I mean, realistically, these curves would be taken slowly. However, like 5 miles is a bit too slow, as like this is actually a curve that's probably less sharp than some curves on public transit systems, which means like You could probably take it at like, I don't know, well, it's like 15 on the sharpest things. Like 15. I think it's like 15 kilometers per hour. So actually, like, that's 10 miles an hour. Sorry, I might have catched a cold or something. But this like curve realistically and on narrow gauge would be safe for like 20. It's like 20 miles per hour. I mean, that's just my thing of like switching units of measurement mid sentence. It's basically either what's convenient or what's cooler. Because everyone has to abide by the old rule of cool. Also, a fun fact, this layout actually has two loops. Here is like the loop for like if you are to ship logs in here from the logging camp. Well, this is where it is, like around here, and it's actually even a switch on the main line. And then there's another out there for like switching out the like planks or actually like beams and lumber, because those are actually quite important for the mining operations. And I think just like and like completely switching out around here, like I would have to enter that area, like get the cars there, then switch back. Well, actually, it would be like go in this direction, load, go there, switch back, and go there. And I have derailed. There's me failing to run a railroad. Oh, I actually have to move it back a lot. This is like the one place where the small Betsy and other tiny engines have an advantage. This yard is just a nuisance to deal with. Like, this curve is like 30 meters. Nope, not this line. think it should be okay. Now, if I just gently kick this rail car, or here is just me even just using different accents, which is also kind of me thing. I predominantly use US English or like American English, but there are some like British words I use and some other words. So basically, yeah, these are now linked, and I have to like yeah, now it's linked. Everything is linked, so now yeah, it's already unbraked. So yep, time to go to the logging camp. Can I take this route? No, that would just leave me out there. So I just have to switch again. This is already like this would be like early standard gauge operations at this point. And by early I mean like 1850s, 1860s, maybe 1840s, basically just the beginning. Although these cars wouldn't be 4-axle cars, they would be tiny little 2-axle thingies. I think those those tiny 4-wheeled ones are actually called wagons. Also, fun fact, they've been used in the UK a lot. Because, I don't know, but I think America switched to like 40-foot boxcars and basically 40-foot rolling stock in like the 1900s, or like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like in the early 20th century, America already switched to like 40-foot and later into 50-foot and 60-foot rolling stock, like for which weren't locomotives. But like UK still used like tiny two-wheeled stuff, or two-wheeled. That would be like some rail motorbike or something. Yeah, I'm clearly unfit to stream for a bit longer. So anyway, also I'm probably doing a bad thing by using a drawbar to push, because a drawbar should never be used to push, only pull, unless it's like a massive drawbar. So now I'll let the train just slip. Also, I think, yeah, I think this is called like moonwalking. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not really that knowledgeable about English terms for train. I only know like the type and stuff, but not like operational stuff. I'm more of a history enjoyer when it comes to trains. But anyway, if a train like wheel slips, it's actually the best like comparison again to like cars would be like doing a burnout. Like a burnout is the thing where you spin the wheels up, but they don't. You like lose grip to the ground, so you basically destroy your tires. It does look cool, but it's damaging to your car and to your tires, and also wheel slip is actually damaging for trains. Like it can create flat spots. Wheel slide does create more flat spots, but wheel slip also can damage the wheels because they'll be grinded down by the rail. It usually occurs in conditions like slipper, the rails are too slippery, or the acceleration is too fast. Like the you pull back the regulator, or you go to on full throttle immediately with like a heavy train, and that causes issues. I'm going to save again. Yeah, those here it's 1% up, which should be okay, but I ain't taking any chances. So now that we're in the logging camp, we turn on the brake completely, and the train is heavy already, so there is the disadvantage of like having to stop all this momentum. And we play crane clicking simulator. Luckily, it's only 6 logs per car, and that is $60 per car that we will eventually unload, which means this train of 6 cars is worth $360. Actually, cordwood is also $10 per piece, but they can fit way more. You can fit 8 pieces of cordwood or units of cordwood into a car, so like a car of cordwood is more profit than a car of just logs. Also, I can't wait for like the devs to add like signs and stuff, just a small thought I had. They like announced it a while back as it was like planned because it would be neat to like have things to note where you have to have your cars so they can load, and it would be really useful for like these long trains where you don't necessarily are able to see how many cars you have because it may be like out of render distance. So you could like look and see, well, the cars are in position, so now you stop. Which would be really just a massive quality of life thing, and also it would actually be great for stuff like decoration too. You can like write tiny things, you can like note a grade, which would mean you could like count up like how much is it up, and actually there's probably mods for that, but like it would be neat for decoration purposes mostly though. Sorry. So as we load this final part of the train, actually we'll have to like run around because the switch starts. Yeah, it starts here. So probably moving won't be that good. So we'll just push on these cars, which will also just change the switch so it'll actually have an advantage because it means more like when we go here again, the switch will be already set for us. I mean, we don't have to set our switches anymore if we come from the side that's like, I don't know how it's like called in English, but if you go like against the points here, you have to choose, right? If you go like this, the switch will here just change for you. Also, one thing I have heard it's like these stands or however they're called aren't actually realistic, and they wouldn't even be used for switches, but they're probably better for this for like gameplay purposes because that way you can like see, oh, it's on the red or white side. It's like it's either left or right. Also, one thing I've heard is like, what was it? Yeah, for like standard small switches. I don't know if there are in America, but like European switches, they're smaller. They have like this weight that secures them because before they'd be locked. There would just be this counterweight. And like the dark side basically means that's like the ground, and the light side is like means heaven or like, you know, up. I don't know. my translation skills are pretty bad. But anyway, now we break again, reverse. We check, yeah, we have the link here. Are we double linking? No, it's fine. Linked. Now remove break. Also, it's save time again. Yeah, loading really is kind of the thing that is a bit obnoxious in this game. It takes a bit too long. So anyway. God, just accelerating this thing takes a while. So anyway, loading time again. Yeah, crane clicking simulator is really just the boring part of the game. I heard that they eventually want to add like either cranes that are semi-automatic or like, gantry cranes and like fully automatic stuff when they eventually add stuff like villages and towns and stuff. I don't know. I can't remember the roadmap, but it's like for the stuff in the full release they want, and this is like basically, I don't know. It's definitely not like pre-alpha state. I'd say it's maybe beta. Yeah, probably a beta would be a good comparison, but for like full release, yeah, this would, but this better be something like that's more, that doesn't take as long because that just means loading takes way too long. Fortunately, unloading, you can basically just roll by. But we're loaded now. So it's time to actually take the freight, reverse, get cylinder cocks, because and get a nice screenshot. Yeah, I really like screenshots because I don't know. It's just the thing I do as a City Skylines player a lot, where I see a cool thing I make a screenshot, then send it to all my friends, just to brag. God damn it, I always miss, like, screenshot opportunities. I'm sorry for coughing so much. Yeah, I'm just making too much screenshots for the sake of just, bragging. So now, slowly and gently, we go through this curve. Gently add on the regulator, just so the train doesn't stop too much. And actually, we will go like just on the momentum through the curve, just so like we don't accidentally pull the train off the tracks, because we don't have DPUs, because this ain't a diesel. There ain't no distributed power here. I mean, there is, but it requires multiple people to operate. Multiple unit steam engine. Someone gotta make like a Photoshop or something of a multiple unit steam engine just for like funsies. So now we slowly get here and stop right before the crossover, because safety first. We don't want, if there were multiple people on this server, which I'm preparing for, like operations with like a friend or two, like two steam engines crashing, like the stuff that could happen is horrifying. Like the if it's especially a side collision, like if an engine would, for example, damage the superheater, or even like either the superheater or like the boiler, a boiler explosion could occur. And those things are actually horrifying, because it's basically an explosion of pressurized steam. So this is 36 logs. if I'm not mistaken. So maybe one more operation. No, I'm just going to switch this out. So yeah, now you'll see how I'll turn this train around. We need to get it out there to another yard, which is there, because here it won't fit at all. Here I might start slowly storing like maybe cordwood cars before I build a full-on thing in the logging camp. But for like, you know, purposes of this, this will be the current main yard. Basically the smelter and yeah, smelter and the sawmill are the two most important places. Well, actually, I do have the switch set wrong. I'm going to set up that switch over over there. So I'm going to decrease the throttle and do something extremely dangerous, insanely, ludicrously dangerous, and I'm going to try to set a switch while a train is rolling on the other side of the yard, and that is actually so dangerous it could probably end up causing multiple derailments. Again, with potentially catastrophic results because steam engines are full of pressurized hot steam. Fun fact. Actually, not so fun fact. This is actually quite gruesome. Oh, damn it. I actually am set wrong. Well, I'm going to run around that loop in that case, just so you see the layout. Because right now we would be going engine first into that yard. So basically, if you were stuck in a boiler explosion, there are basically two things that could happen. Either you would be basically cooked alive by the hot steam, painful, or, which could be even worse, and this actually happened in multiple boiler explosions. If this part of the boiler exploded, not like the crown sheet, even, yeah, that would probably explode too, and that would show a horrifying thing, like all the tubes everywhere. There's actually a quite famous picture of it, and it's like kind of eerie in a way and unsettling to see just an engine with pipes everywhere. But if the part of the boiler, especially near the cab, would explode, you'd be basically, if it's like the part with the steam from the water, you would be hit with, I don't know how it's called in English. It's like, I don't know, wet steam or something. Basically the steam that hasn't been dried up. Yeah, sorry if my English ain't the best. I'm from a country in the middle of nowhere in Central Europe. So basically you would be hit with the steam that has small water droplets in it. And that would cause the thing called water hammer. And that's basically a blade of small water droplets going at speeds faster than a bullet. And since it's like 140 or no, not 140, but like 130 or more psi in the boiler. Here's, yeah, here's 130. Which is more than actually like air brake temperature. I think it's like here stuff like that is measured in like atmospheres. I don't know what's the precise definition, but like brake pipes are charged at like 5 atmospheres, which is like 9. I don't really know, like 70, 80, 90 psi. I don't know. But like, imagine just getting hit with the pressure of multiple Earth's atmospheres filled with tiny droplets of water. If you are in like a boiler explosion, you're basically guaranteed to be dead. Yeah, this I shouldn't probably say that in a YouTube stream, should I? That would get me age restricted. So just in short, since I have already terrified you all and you'll probably have very disturbing dreams right now, I do apologize for that. Well, don't get in boiler explosions. If you're in a steam train, just be in the coach. Yeah, just steam trains are really cool and stuff, but they're dangerous. So this switch is set to the yard. This one is occupied, so it's this track. So switch this. I kind of want to like add more tracks, but the space for them does shrink a lot. I could probably just put a new yard somewhere else. I'm considering actually like building a new line out there in this direction because that is the direction of like my main yard. Or no main yard. The line to the iron mine, so like you don't need to like go through this Y and other crossovers before you actually get on the line, which could be really beneficial, but it would require substantial rebuilding. Is it going back? Yeah, it's going back. The trucks have been updated. Should I kick it or should I just shove it in there? Shove these cars in there. I'm just going to opt for a shove because, like, if they lose the kinetic energy, it would mean, like, again, which could mean I mess up the amount of energy and they end up derailing on the bumper or buffer. I don't know how it's called. Track construction, yeah, bumper. Buffer is on like European trains. So first car is past the switch. I'm going to break it from here. They should fit. Worst case scenario, I just like move these cars around. I mean, this is all flat terrain, so no derail. Ah, god damn it. Oh, it's actually still linked. So if I pull it forward, is it beyond? Nope. Well, it's more switching time. Will the car realign itself? Nope. Probably not. Maybe the switch will do it? Oh my god, it's actually like this is proper cursed. Yep, it's now derailed. I'm just going to move past both these switches and tie a handbrake. Yeah, this regulator is off. Air brakes are on. Now, this is switched. This and now. If I get to stream like tomorrow or some other day, I might actually like take these cars up. But I'd prefer to wait until I have more powerful engines. Either the Class 48 or yeah, either the Class 48 or just grind for the Moscow. Just so I have like ridiculous amounts of power available. Or even like the Class 70 or the Cook consolidation. Actually, let's check. If the Moscow is, I could get like a climax, which is ridiculously powerful but also slow. The Moscow is 3600 for 8,000 pounds of tractive effort. Cook Mogul is, yeah, that's 11,600. And has air brakes and stuff, so it's 4,300. Consolidation is, Class 70 is the end game. That's certain. Now I'm deciding between the consolidation or maybe the mogul. I might try actually getting the mogul. That's 3,400, 300. God damn it, I can't articulate words. It's 4,300, so that should be great. Good in like a few runs of few log runs and few runs of like maybe even just go to the smelter. I might actually just build all the lines and start slowly grinding so I can get like the like oil barrels, which are like $1,000 per car, or even just tools, which are like there's 24 tools for per car, and also the boxcar is really cool and stuff, so that's a benefit. So like maybe later I will actually be able to like run full-on manifest trains, or not manifest trains, just like massive trains. Like the only disadvantage I see like with these things like tools, or yeah, basically all the good stuff like boxcars can only really go to the, how it's called, oil field and refinery, but you can't like send it somewhere else. Also, this is literally a stringline derailment setup, so yeah, this won't be fun if we derail on this curve. Also, stringline derailment, if you don't know, is basically you pull cars off the tracks. Yeah, now it's coupled. So yeah, hopefully we don't rip these cars off tracks. Definitely would not be fun. Could have used Betsy for like switching out this stuff, but like I'm too lazy to like fire up another engine and then just, you know, moving two engines about is more hassle than just moving everything with one engine. Also, fun fact, this train is like, yeah, this is 11 cars, which is basically actual like, yeah, this is probably like, this is probably the size for still early standard gauge, but not as early. Or a, a short line railroad, maybe. This is probably the size of a short line train. 11 cars. I really can't wait for them to add passengers. Like a passenger train. I heard it's like if you will like put passengers to like stations for industries, or like ship them to industries, it'll increase like efficiency and stuff, which is cool stuff. Yeah, these beams are important. No derailment has occurred, although it is squashed right against the bumpers, so could be potentially risky. But it's gonna be fine. Anyway, this this thing has actually moved quite a considerable bit. So we now need to get past the switch which leads out of the yard. Or actually, like, this is the yard lead, I think. I mean, everything is a yard thing here, but like this specific part. I'm not really good with rail terminology, I'll confess. So basically, like, we now move this stuff into the main yard. Main yard. It's all main yard. Actually, looking at it now, a new yard could be built like right here, and that could be a through yard. Yeah, I have a new thing to build once off camera, maybe tomorrow, because basically I just have tons of things planned out. So anyway, we're now just moving in for the final few cars. They will fit perfectly, I think. I'm just going to and now I'll move the engine back to like the freight depot. This is secured, this is secured. So two empties. %28 fuel. I should probably prepare to start putting fuel into like depots, especially firewood depot. So this is switched out, and now, yeah, I walked in right into the boiler or firebox. Who cares? And probably not this fast. I mean, this is like tiny yard. Actually, I overshot a bit. Definitely probably a new yard needs to be built, or rather, an actual like reverse loop, so actually unit trains can be handled better. Yeah, I'm setting it up a lot for unit trains instead of like realistic operations. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's stream. I'll return in a few months' time. Depends. Depends if I have time, basically. Because currently I do have a lot of school. Definitely, probably the next 2 years won't have the highest upload frequency. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this stream. And yeah, see you next time.